to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot Court, um, I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot Court is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot Court, am I audible and visible? Can I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot Court is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot Court, I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot, I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot, I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot, I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. But anyway, so when Rajasthan School of Law for Women, Jaipur, invited me to introduce Moot, I initially thought, what would I say? Because Moot is a huge topic. The various persons used to come to our college. Now, to be on the other side, it is weird and surprising. So that fact sheet is common for all moot problems, and that is undisputed. Now, usually the problem that is given to you in good moot court competitions, the areas of law are very unsettled. Like there is a debate in regards to what is the correct law. And that is what makes a good moot problem, is because you can make arguments from both sides. Because imagine if it's a settled principle of law, then it's just easy. If it's a domestic court, you will take a Supreme Court decision and you will say it, and the other side will have nothing to say. So normally, usually 90% of the cases, the good moot problems that we draft, they are always unsettled. And trust me, there are a lot of unsettled laws in India and foreign jurisprudence. That's the beauty of law. Now, in the domestic stage, the national moot court competitions, most of them occur at an appellate stage. Now, what do I mean by an appellate stage? Is they normally happen in high courts and Supreme Courts. And normally the moot problem tells you to challenge a decision of the lower court. Now, I never understood in my first or second year why this happened. Later in my fifth year, I was having a conversation with Professor Ved Kumari. She's a vice chancellor. She was the ex-Delhi University dean. And she said that the reason why normally we make problems in the appellate stage is in the trial stage, there is a dispute between facts, and that you do not want in a moot court competition. What you want is the students to take an undisputed facts and focus on the law more. And that's why most of the moot court competitions that y'all will go into, it's normally in the High Court or Supreme Court. Most, remember, there are exceptions. Now, is there any question on what a moot court is? I would, if anybody would put something in the chat box, I think it'll be easier for me to just take the basic question before I move on to see whether y'all are understanding or not. I don't want it a lecture format, honestly. Okay, so do I presume that the lack of questions? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Please stop me. I'll read the chats while going.
if you don't understand something. Yes, Devansha. Okay. Now, the next question is, when and how mooting culture developed in India? Now, this is, I don't know whether y'all have legal history or not. It takes me back to legal history. So, mooting is basically an academic exercise that started in England, I think in the 18th or 19th century, if my history serves me correct, where students used to debate on a particular point of law, and that was a shadow to what used to happen in courts. Then in the US, Harvard started it. In fact, one of their moot court competition, which started in the classroom, has become the World Cup of Mooting, Philip C. Jessup International Competition. And very soon, it started spreading all over the world. Now, how did it come to India? If my history serves me correct, um, that is what at least most of the sources say. One of the first moots was organized by the Bar Council of India in the year 1981, and slowly colleges started taking moot courts in their curriculum. Is because it helps the student understand what the law is, and it helps them to appreciate legal principles. So that is all about the mooting culture in India, and slowly different colleges started. India started doing well in different moot court competitions. I think, especially international ones, National Law School of India, Bangalore, was the first college. It's a very old college, it's the uh, first national university, which started doing well all around the world, and slowly, it started spreading. If you could give me a minute, I think I need to charge my laptop. I apologize. Yeah. So that is all about the mooting culture in India that's developed. It's not very relevant. Is there any questions in terms of the mooting culture? If any, if not, okay. I presume there aren't a lot of questions. Okay. So then we'll have to speak about the importance of mooting in a career of law students. Is Mansi's hand up? Do you want to say something, Mansi?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask my question?
Yeah, please do. I would want an interactive session more. Tell me.
Sir, like Indians have different rules in respect to this laws, and other countries, many countries have different laws. So, sir, how can this moot can work internationally?
That's a very good question, Mansi. So, when you go for
Uh, Sir, before you answer her question, I would request all the participants while asking a question, please turn on your camera so that the interaction could be a little better.
yeah,
I
please.
hope sir will agree with.
Yeah, it feels like
Yes.
talking to bots. Like my teachers say that during class. Now I understand the importance of it. It really makes it better.
Yes, and I guess I didn't turn it on.
So that's a very good question. So essentially, if you go
So
for,
yes, being a teacher, it's my duty to know at that time only.
I know I can feel it now on the other side. I'll switch on my camera in my classes now because I know how it feels now on the other side. So, in a national level, if you go for a domestic moot court competitions, then the laws are same, which is a law which is based in India, and there's no problem. But if you go for an international moot court competition, normally the rules of arbitration, international commercial arbitration, or if your forum is International Court of Justice, they are same for everybody. It is a common rule that is followed by all the countries. Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank
Like
you,
for
sir.
example, if you go for Philip C. Jessup, where the forum is International Court of Justice, no matter which country you come from, ICJ has a fixed procedure, and Jessup has the rules, and you'll have to follow that, which does not really differentiate because, as Harish Salve says, he says this a lot when people used to ask him how you practicing in England, and he says law is the same everywhere. It's just that the substantive law changes, but the procedure remains the same. Is there any other question?
No, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Now, in terms of importance of moot and in a law student's career, so I think all of us must have faced when we enter law school in our first year, looking at our seniors. Though I feel really bad for the first years and second years. I hope they have been to college once or twice because of COVID. The interaction with the seniors are less, even with the teachers, which is really bad. I hope you all get to meet, your faculty members and your seniors. They will tell you that mooting is very important in a student's life for various reasons. And I strongly believe that even if you do not like mooting per se, you should at least try mooting once in your law school career, because it will actually tell you how to look at a law. Now, of course, you will say that I can write research papers too, right? I've had this debate with a lot of my friends. But I strongly believe, this is my personal opinion, that mooting helps you form arguments, whereas research paper isn't. It's more about how much knowledge you have, rather than forming arguments. Now, only when you read a particular piece of law, and again, not all law they are black and white. There are two sides of it. Mooting helps you create arguments for each side, which is very, very important. Even in a lawyer's life, and my seniors tell me in court, they always say that nothing is absolute in law. Very few concepts are absolute in law. And judges really appreciate when you argue and you tell them that it's not black and white in nature. Only when you can appreciate the other side of the jurisprudence and you tell the judge that, and then you say that why your side of jurisprudence should be accepted, that is a skill which is really, really needed for all lawyers and all advocates. So that mooting really helps you. Now, the second point is, and this is something which I follow, and I always believe in this, it teaches you to be simple. Now, I have a motto in life, and that's very simple. Simply put, again, I'm using the word simple. If you have read something, a piece of law or anything, and you can simply explain it to a layman through a logical way, then you know that your argument is good. And I want you to be very careful of people who make things complex. They do not know the subject. The best of the best in any area make a complex subject very simple. I think that is the hallmark of a person who truly, truly knows the subject. Simplicity. Now, when you are preparing for a moot court, the law is very scattered most of the time, especially for the good moots. And you will have jurisprudence, if it's international, from all over the world. If it's India, you will have different high court saying different things, the trial court saying different things, Supreme Court has not dealt with the problem. Now, what your job is, again, build your arguments, taking all of it into account, into a simple story and applying the law to it and telling the court to accept it. Now, trust me on this part, once you'll start mooting, it is the most difficult thing one can achieve. In fact, I would say this for all the courts that I have visited, especially during lockdown. I had the chance to visit different courts, and I hope you all do that. That's one advantage of COVID. You all can go to any court, like especially the premier ones in quotation: Rajasthan High Court, Bombay High Court, Delhi High Court, Calcutta High Court, Karnataka High Court. All of them, the links are open. Go visit them. One thing you will find in common: the best of the lawyers always make their case simple. Now, at least in moot courts, it's not that difficult, but in actual practice, when you'll go in, you will find 1,000-page documents, 10,000 pages documents sometimes. Now, when you argue in front of a judge, the judge won't care. They don't have a lot of time. How you simply weave out a story with the relevant law in a short span of time will determine whether or not your case gets admitted or not, even at the admission stage. Even in moot courts, especially when the problem is complex, the simpler you make your arguments for the judge to understand, because the judge, both in moot courts and in real life, do not necessarily know the law as well as you, because it's a very particular area of law which you have researched. The judge just has an overview. You will have to explain in a simple way what the problem is and what is the relief that you're asking. So this simplicity that you build through Moot Court is very, very important, and nothing teaches you any other activities. That I can confidently say. I'll give you an example. I was reading this article about Mr. Mukul Rohatgi. He was the ex-Attorney General, and he is indirectly, the article calls him the SLP king, specially petition under Article 136 of the Indian Constitution. Because normally in the Supreme Court, whether an SLP is admitted or not is a matter of 30 seconds to 1 minute. And when you're going for an SLP, which means you have a lot of jurisprudence in the trial court and the high court level, normally, usually. Now, it talks about how Mukul Rohatgi, if it's a complex tax matter, if it's a complex constitutional matter, in that 30 seconds to 1 minute, okay, all that 10,000 word files, it weaves a simple story for the judge in order for the judge to understand, and then so that it becomes easier for the judge to admit it or not admit it. So that is something which you should always remember, especially people who are in their first year, second year. Make it simple. Even if a topic is complex, you have to make it simple. That's a hallmark of a good teacher too. And I hope I'm making it simple. That's one. Is there any question in the first two advantages? You all can speak. I'm not a teacher. You can ask any question possible. I don't want it to be a gap. Okay. Shweta, do you see any questions? I don't see any.
No, sir.
Okay.
So will that be fine if they'll ask after you'll be
Yeah, I
done
mean,
with?
it'll be fine, but I just want it to be a more interactive session because I know for a fact that lectures don't usually work. Students fall asleep. So in case you all have any question, please feel free to stop me. So this is the various advantages of mooting. One more advantage which I can, but sir, how can we imagine it simple? Ashad, you don't have to imagine it simple. What you have to do is you'll have to research that much in order to make it simple. And trust me, only when you research a lot on a problem, then only you can make it simple. So it will come with time. I know that it's very difficult for you to understand in abstract what simplicity is. But once you start researching, you will slowly understand what I'm talking about once you form your arguments. But just keep this in mind that your goal is for a layman to understand. I hope I could answer your question. Now, it takes a lot of effort. Simple in terms of somebody who knows the law and they can understand that without going into the details of it. It is, trust me. I have seen advocates do it most of the time. Like, of course, sometimes if it's too complex a subject matter, it might be difficult, but most of the time it is. Do I see any other person raising their hand? Okay. Now, the third thing which I want to talk about, and this is very dear to me, a lot of people in law school, they do not moot is because they are scared of public speaking. I'm in my 5th year. I tell my juniors this. I know a lot of my batchmates who have this fear. And one of the reasons why they don't do public speaking is because they're not comfortable with the language. Most of the good moot courts competition happen in English, though I don't know why. But I just want to tell you all that not being comfortable with a language is absolutely fine. At the end of the day, English is not our first language for India. And the only way you will develop fluency in this language is putting yourself out there. And there is no hard feelings, or nobody will judge you. Put yourself out there if English is a problem, and the more you practice the language, it will naturally flow. I'll give you an example. I had my senior, I won't take names, he had a problem with English. So right from his first year, he made sure that he went for moot court competitions, and he developed that language properly so that he could communicate, because there's a gap between what you study and what you say to a judge. And he developed through practice, and now he's an ICJ fellow at The Hague, and he was a semi-finalist of JESAP too. So I'm just telling you that nothing should stop you. Put yourself out there, because I've come to realize in my 5th year, once you enter practice, or once you enter the legal profession, or any profession for that matter, it is unforgiving because you don't get a lot of leeway to make mistakes. Now is the time. Use your law schools to make, law school time to make mistakes, putting yourself out there, learn. Nobody cares about law school victories and what you achieved. Trust me on this. uh, it's all about learning, and so that you prepare yourself. Though I doubt law school will prepare any of us for what's coming at us in the real world, but make sure you prepare yourself and you know what you want. So do not let language or a communication barrier stop you from mooting. And mooting is the best way of developing communication skills. And the last point, I've already stated this, is you stop thinking in absolutist term. Um, the sooner you come to realize that law is not absolute in nature, there are debates everywhere. Even something as fundamental as the basic structure in the Constitution, which I'm sure your law professors will teach you, there are a lot of debates against it in terms of the harmfulness of having like a stringent basic structure, or not having a stringent basic structure, and the Supreme Court every day stating this is basic structure. So there are debates everywhere, and what moots teach you, and it will prepare you for the real world, is you will know that nothing is absolute in law. You can make arguments most of the times, and the moment you start looking at law that way, it'll be easier for you to deal with the real world, the courts, the jurisprudence of the courts. So I want you to keep in mind this thing: nothing is absolute. An argument can be made either side, even for the most basics of principle. And also, even the Supreme Court holds in a particular way in India. I'm talking about the municipal law. You will see in the future Supreme Court changing its own jurisprudence. I think that is about the basic advantages of it. And also, one more thing I wanted to say: there are a few colleges which I've been, and they think that mooting and writing research papers and studies, they are supplementary to each other. No, I'm guessing your course is 5 years. Shweta, am I right? Most of the people are in a 5-year course. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I can safely tell you 5 years is a long time. You can moot, you can debate, you can write research papers, you can have fun. It's a 5 years is a long time, so there is no absolute way. You can do all of it if you manage your time properly. You can also perform well in your academics, and that is all the basic advantages of mooting is. And I would strongly suggest at least once, please do this.
Sir,
Rest of yeah, Rithi.
yes, sir. Good morning. Sir, I wanted to say that when you said make it simpler with your language, also, like you don't need to fear about your public speaking skills. But, sir, when we have to argue and deliver our arguments, it should be inclined towards a formal structure, right, sir? And then when we speak or generally speaking with anyone, it's kind of different. So, how do we actually achieve that skill, because you have to manage your arguments in a formal but yet a simple and casual way, which looks as if you're ready to deliver what you want to say. But also it's different when we are talking to someone, one-to-one conversations in a class, or maybe delivering a education speech or as such. So that is something which is confusing, and how can you simplify that?
So I will not get into an absolute detail in that question, which is oral advocacy. How do you do that? Because you all will have sessions. My colleagues will mention that, but in a very simple way. And I know this sounds general, but the only way you can do is having a lot of practice. So I'm pretty sure tomorrow or day after, whenever you have oral advocacy, they will tell you. So your substantive law will have a transcript. You will write down your arguments, okay, and later you can memorize them or you can refer to them also. Once your transcript is ready, you practice continuously to get into that formal language of the court. And trust me, Riddhi, with practice, say before your actual competition, if you take rounds, whether your friends or your teachers take your rounds, with practice, you will slowly develop that formal way of speaking. That intonation, how you refer to a judge, whether ma'am in a trial court or your lordship, which you should not. A lot of Supreme Court judges have stated that don't refer to me as your lordship. But even though primarily what is follow your lordship or ICJ, international moots, International Court of Justice, you refer to them as your excellency. All of it will come. Once you get your substantive law ready, with practice, it's going to come, Riddhi. Trust me on that once you start. Does that answer your question, Riddhi?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So sorry to interrupt. We do have one more question in chat box
Yeah.
from Prem Soni.
I see Dakshi.
So she is asking
Yeah.
how to do arguments in moot court.
Okay, this will again be dealt tomorrow. I don't want to get into what my colleagues will say, but they will tell you how to form an argument tomorrow. One of the skills that you have to learn, again, mooting develops, is when you read a judgment or when you read any research paper, how to frame arguments, I think will be dealt with tomorrow. In case you still have questions after the sessions, I will give my contact number. You all can always email me, and I can help you all with it. But it will be dealt with tomorrow. I don't want to overburden you with information, especially since your college has kept different people, which is very good in terms of oral advocacy, in terms of memorial drafting. Any other question? Okay, I see there aren't any. Now, the next topic is how to develop an active moot court society in college. So this is something which is very dear to me again, because my college is a very young college, young national university. It's barely been around 8 to 9 years, and we have done really well. And I can tell you all the secrets of it. The first thing is having a vibrant student moot court society, and it should be student run, because this is very, very important. Because one of the main reasons how colleges, like students, don't participate in moots is because they don't have the requisite information. So what the moot court society, what they do is they collate the information for you and they send it. Like, for example, if 30th is the registration for, say, a BCI moot, the constitutional moot that happens, the moot court society sends it to the student body saying all the people who want to participate, please register. Okay, so the moot court society will have to work hard in order to enhance participation in these moot courts. And you should also request the administration, because I do know a lot of colleges, they bar students from going to a particular moot court, saying only you will participate in this or that. There are, but please request them that whatever moot court society, if it's a good moot, please send that, because the only way you will develop a good moot court culture is more your students go out and participate, whether or not they'll win, because winning doesn't happen initially. Winning happens after, those people learn and they come back with the information in your college. Happens through participation. So please, the moot court society should make sure that you keep the student body up to date about every moot court that's happening. You conduct challenges, you conduct sessions like these. These sessions are really helpful. So a vibrant moot court society. The second thing which I would say is support from the administration. This is very, very important, because honestly, administration plays a huge role in allowing students to participate in various moot court competitions. So a supportive administration is very, very important. Furthermore, especially for the international moot court competitions, the big ones, I think tomorrow also I see in your course structure, the good moot court competitions are there. Like, they'll tell you the names of them. So the biggest one, Philip C. Jessup International Moot Court Competition, that happens in Washington, D.C. It is the World Cup of mooting. It happens in Washington, D.C. It's an arbitration moot. Happens in Hong Kong and in Vienna. So all of these require funding. So even if the college does not have the money or does not want to, the college will definitely have more contacts, helping them reach the alumni. So this level of support, I hope, like, you should request the administration to give, is because the more the administration supports you. Okay, I'll take this question a little later. I just want to complete this. So the more the administration supports you, the better it is. The faster the mooting culture will develop. I see a question in moot courts. Facts are same for people in moot court. So, on what basis you win in a moot court is convincing the judge that based on that fact, the applicable law that you are saying and the way you are stating it is should be taken up or is the correct one. And as simple as that. Because like I said, law will have two schools of thoughts. So whichever one that you're arguing, if the judge takes that up, that is winning in a moot court competition. I think I'm done with most, I think nearly all of the headings. Shweta, have I missed any? Do you think so? Like through the module, I can cover that.
So we have one question in chat box from Dakshija Sharma.
Okay. You know what?
She's asking, sir, as you said.
Okay, just 1 second. I was talking about public speaking,
Yes,
and your ma'am just says switch on your video. You switch on your video. Speak to me. I won't read the chat box anymore. Anybody who has raised their hands, it's a good way of public speaking. Dakshija?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me your
Sir,
question.
I was asking how to make it simple arguments. You said the judge will focus on key points to sum up the case. So how can we highlight those key points? Because we have to manage arguing with also explaining the judge how to basically what is the case and how to sum up in words, basically key points that we have to explain the judge.
So one of the ways that you do that is again, I hope it's dealt in the future courses. Again, the how part, but I will just say in simple terms is when you write your transcript. Transcript is what you will tell to the judge, and the reason why you write it is to make sure that it is simple. It's not too complex. So when you write your transcript in your practice rounds, you should give practice rounds to somebody who does not know the law as well as you. If they can understand and you can answer the questions that they are asking, because at the end of the day, the same question that they are asking, somebody who doesn't know, somebody from the legal field but doesn't know that particular problem well, the logical questions that they will be asking, and if you can answer them, you know that it's simple. And that's one way what we do, especially in big moot court competitions, is we ask somebody from our college who hasn't worked on the problem. We argue before them and we tell them, can you understand? Or the questions that you asked, could I answer properly? So that's one way of making it very, very simple for the judge to understand.
Sir, we can basically design those questions which will be basically asked, or is probability that they can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sir.
In fact, if you're prepared well, there should not be any question that a judge would ask which you aren't prepared for, in courts and in moot court competition. So you should think your moot court, like your transcript, in a question answer format. That if I say this is the question that will come, I will answer and I will come back to my submission. Practice, simple practice, no shortcut.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
I request all the participants to ask their questions if they have any. You can unmute yourself and ask.
If you don't want to unmute yourself, I will read the chat. Don't worry about that. But I would prefer if you do, because that makes it more conversational. It's easier for me to understand, and you can ask follow up. But it's okay. It's a good habit. That's all I want to develop. I think your ma'am will tell you. Even in classes, do that. It's a real pain when, especially in a digital format. It's okay if you don't have a question. If you understood, it's fine. I want everybody, whoever listened, to take back and understand what is the goal. Now, how to reach that goal, more details will be in the future sessions. What is the procedure of reaching the highest level of a moot court competition? Simplicity. I think that's one word. I will keep on focusing in a moot court. Simple, simple, simple. Even in Philip C. Jessa moot court competition, in the semi-finals, you're facing an Australian team which ended up being the champion. I think out of all the rounds that I've faced, uh, how simply they stated such a complex law, also not oversimplified it, telling both sides is something which the more you can achieve that, and that will only be achieved through practice, through different rounds. Um, Before, say, like something like a international moot court competition, like a Philip C. Jessa for a whiz, uh, I think you should take minimum 100 to 150 rounds, okay, practice in order to get that simplicity. So it is hard work and simplicity. I think that's one word which I would always say. So yeah, I think uh, Prem Soni, I think that answers this question. Practice. Vivek,
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So I just wanted to ask how we can, am I audible?
yeah, you're audible.
I just wanted to ask how can we let our arguments not turn into fragile arguments?
Okay, this is again a substantive law, but I will say it. So one of the ways of making to make sure that your argument is strong enough, if I could get your question, is to understand what are the possible questions that can come. So when you write an argument, say you want to argue that X is Y, and since X is Y, you reach your conclusion, and that's why Y should be accepted. You write down your arguments in your side, like if you're on your computer, in your Word, in your comment section. What you should do is you should think of all the probable questions that the judge will ask you and what the other side will say. Write those questions down. Then what you have to do is you have to make sure whether or not your argument covers that. Are you understanding? You can say yes or no.
Yes, yes, yes.
So once you know that there are, and trust me, there are finite amount of questions in a mood that they can ask you. Okay, if you've prepared well enough, and if your arguments cover that, you know that it's strong. If it does not, you know it's weak. So the moment in the actual competition when you go, you will know the questions that they will ask, and if you can answer them and put it in your argument, you will know that this argument will stand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Shweta, do you see any more questions? Okay, great.
No, sir. I think everything is understood as you explained very well, sir.
Perfect. I want to also one more hallmark which I will tell you. Yeah, just 1 second. Says I wanted to finish this exact
Yes,
thing
sir.
in
Sure, sir.
half an hour, 30 minutes, because I don't think in moot courts one more important thing is keeping time. Okay, not asking for extra time from the judge. Even though I believe it's a different debate that Indian courts should also have time for oral argumentation. Okay, but keeping time in a moot court is absolutely essential, especially uh, as Zoya puts it in the higher level of the moot court competition, because there are marks for keeping time. So keep it simple, keep your time, and that's all. So I think I was successful. I wanted half an hour to finish this, to be very clear, and keep 15-20 minutes for questions. But yeah, that's over to you, Shweta.
I hope all the answers given by sir satisfies all your questions. Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed an honor listening you. Your presence and wise words helped to magnify our cause in the best possible way. Now I request our organizing secretary, Ms. Ritika Gaur, for the vote of thanks. This session would have not been possible without her support and experience.
Thank you. Yeah, one of the most important thing is that Yeah, Mr. Akanel Bhaumik, it's really an immense pleasure that you are here with us in a very short notice, I guess. And I'm very thankful to you that you find enough time to spend with us and share your experience with us. And they are really valuable to each and every participant. I hope this session helps them in learning the what is the basic of the mooting, how it generated, and how they have to deal with the mooting in their career. And yeah, the most important thing that you has discussed, that the importance of simplicity in a life of the law student. Yeah, in these days we are very much attracted to the fancy words and making the things a little bit complex. In the meanwhile, we forgot that the complexity is not the thing that we should follow, because it is not easy for everyone to get the complexity and it may be ambiguous to everyone. But yeah, the simplicity is the most important thing that makes easy to everyone to get what the person is trying to say. So yeah, for a law student, they think that this profession is a very fancy profession, they have to follow that rules, they have to follow that particular attire and everything. But I think the simplicity, the way that you explain that this is a thing that they should follow in their life, is really going to help for them. And I'm really thankful to you all participants for joining the session. And yes, of course, Shweta for moderating the session. And the most important thanks to Ms. Vatika Arora. Without her guidance, this all the moot court training workshop is not going to be possible. So I'm really very thankful to ma'am. Uh, Hope this session helps you. All the participants are with me. Is there any question that left?
Yes, few students have joined little late, so you may ask the questions because we still have the time. And there would be a feedback link in in the chat box. And just a moment.
The feedback link will be shared in your WhatsApp group. So all the participants, are you in the WhatsApp group? So there you will find the feedback form. So you can fill that form after the session, and it is compulsory for everyone to fill that feedback form.
Because your attendance and would be recorded on the basis of it only, and you will get certificate within due course after filling all the feedback forms of all the sessions. So keep that in mind.
And where can we get the feedback from?
The WhatsApp group.
Also, thank you, Ritika ma'am, for inviting me. I always like speaking to law students because I know how helpful, a senior coming and explaining. My seniors did that. So I hope whoever learns also passes this on. So that's the only way we learn. We learn from each other. So thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting me. Is there any questions? Anybody who's joined late, uh, like ma'am said,
So,
Arora ma'am said. Yeah.
so I have a question.
Yes, yes.
You told So you said that we have to keep our simplicity while arguing our points. My question is whether we have to keep that same simplicity while we prepare the memorial.
Thank you for asking that question, and I hope the resource person that comes explains this. Whatever simplicity you have in your oral round, make it into 50 in your memo. And once you will see good memos, like Ritika ma'am said, no fancy words. You will have these should be in your constitution. No fancy words. Your sentence should not be more than 15 words. Okay. Uh, Making sure that your argument is comprehensible, okay, in simple English. So thank you for asking this question, and I hope the next resource person tells you all this, and I'm sure they're very experienced. So yes, simplicity everywhere. And also one more thing which I want to say is, since all of us will join the legal profession too, uh, a lot of judgments that are given by courts. Some of the judges like to show off their vocabulary, and a lot of lawyers have been very critical of it. So when you all do join the profession, like that Justice Chandrachud once said that the entire point of a judgment is for people to read it, not for them to show their English language off. So there is a debate which is going on in the courts currently about simple English in legal terms. So please follow that everywhere in your life. So yeah, answering a question, yes. In memo, yes, yes, yes. It's very, very important for you to, perform well in the level, in a higher level.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. With this, we come to an end of our first session of the workshop, but it's just the starting of this amazing 3 days journey. I once again would like to thank Mr. Aknil Bhaumik, sir, from the bottom of my heart, for taking time from his busy schedule to be the resource speaker at the session. Our first session was a huge success, all thanks to your enlightening words that inspired so many students out there, sir. Also, I would like to thank all the participants for joining today's session, and I hope the session was fruitful for you all, guys. Again, I remind all the participants to fill the feedback forms. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Take care. Best of luck.
The timing for the next session is from 1 p.m. So the link will be shared you soon on the WhatsApp group. So join the session on time. Good luck to all the participants. We hope your presence in the next session. Thank you.